You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building, Oscar De La Hoya.
Yes.
What's up, my man?
Founder of Golden Boy Promotions.
That's right.
Now, you promoting the upcoming Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G fight, September 16th.
Exactly.
Is it hard to promote a fight of this magnitude when neither fighter speaks English?
Yeah, Triple G speaks it all broken up, and Canelo can understand it.
We had him up here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was he saying? Good boy, good. I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, exactly. So it's tough, but the great thing is that these guys can fight. So that's what carries the whole promotion, is that everybody knows that these guys are gonna throw down and bombs away.
Boxing fans know that.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But the casual
fan, yeah,
know.
Exactly. So, I mean, look, in terms of, because everybody likes talking about the business side of boxing now. In terms of business, it's going to do a huge amounts of business, I mean, that's a given. But the fact that this is a real fight, hopefully the week of the fight, or, will carry on, because the momentum is building. You got everybody from, all the CNNs and the ESPNs and the whole world, interested in this fight. So we have to just get that momentum going and get these guys to speak English.
Now you said fuck you to Mayweather and McGregor. Why did you say that?
Both of you are
and you said this is a real fight coming up.
Yeah, no, this is a real fight, because it's a disrespect to boxing. Mm-hmm. I mean, boxing is, and my man Bernard Hopkins would say this in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. Boxing is old school. Boxing is boxing where you have two guys who are not going to carry each other to the 10th round. Who, for instance, Mayweather. Okay, Mayweather is probably the purest, best boxer on the planet today, right? I mean, now he's retired, but in our generation, so you have him carrying McGregor for 4 or 5 rounds, right? So he can go 10 rounds and collect his money in the sports book. I mean, it's no secret that Mayweather bet on himself in the 10th round. I mean, we all know that, right?
Oh, I
I
didn't
thought
know
he wasn't allowed.
Yeah, come on, we all know that,
I heard
right?
him say he was, but I didn't know.
I
He
thought he
Well,
was
yeah,
doing it
they didn't let him.
Is that
Yeah,
legal?
they didn't let him.
Of course it's not. I mean, it's Vegas. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, come on, you're fighting a UFC guy, okay? And Mayweather doesn't throw a punch for 4 rounds. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
The best
four
fighter on the
punches.
planet and doesn't throw punches for 4 rounds. I mean, what does that tell you? Come on.
So it's not that he threw the fight, but the fight was rigged in a way.
Well, it was just a farce. For me, it was just a farce.
Yeah,
it was a farce. But anyway, Canelo Triple G, I mean, it's a real fight. It's just a real fight. I mean, that's the bottom line. I call it 6 to 8 rounds of hell. I'm gonna call it 6 to 8 rounds of hell. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bloodbath. I've always said Canelo will beat Triple G though, and I love Triple G.
Love him from your mouth to God's ears, man.
But I just think Canelo's a better boxer.
No, he is a better boxer. He learned a lot when he lost against Mayweather back in the day. He's grown as a fighter. He's maturing as a fighter. It's just gonna be a good fight, man.
But you still feel like this fight could go either way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it could go either way. I think Triple G can knock out Canelo. Not at any given point, but if he lands that big power punch, he can knock him out. And same with Canelo. If he lands that big power punch, it's good night for Triple G.
Now, even though you did say fuck the Floyd Mayweather McGregor fight, how did you feel after? Do you feel like it hurt boxing at all?
No, look, the way I see it, I mean, 4 million people paid to see the fight. Mm-hmm. What I tell them, that if you want to see a real fight, just tune in to September 16th. I mean, I don't think it hurt the sport.
What about the undercards?
To be honest with you, I didn't see the whole thing. Because I was.
You don't like Javante?
No, I love Javante. Javante's a real deal. I know of him. He's the real deal. Mm-hmm. I like him. But I was actually promoting Cotto on HBO that same night.
That was so weird. They did that fight the same way.
Yeah. No, and what's crazy is that nobody knew, like the mainstream, doesn't know crap about it. but we still had like 1 million viewers on HBO, and we sold out like 9,000 tickets. It was sold out, so it was crazy. But nobody knew,
Gotcha.
you know. But to go back to your Gervonta, Gervonta is like the real deal. I hopefully one day maybe
He'll sign the Golden Boy.
Comes to Golden Boy. Why not? Yeah. Hey.
Now, can I ask you a question since we're talking about that? How difficult is it for like a young upcoming boxer to get into one of these huge fights but not be signed to like a Golden Boy or a Mayweather?
Yeah, that's pretty tough because I'm not gonna put you in. I'm not gonna put you in one of my fight cards if you're not signed with Golden Boy Promotions. You know, it's like because to be a champion that's known and mainstream and you know and get these huge fights, you have to be signed with a promoter.
You have to promote. It's like a record label. You
You have to be
right.
signed. You know, you can't just be bouncing around and you know whoever gets me the best deal and this. I mean, if you're Mayweather, you can do that. If you're myself, if you're a known commodity in boxing, you can do that. But you have to be established. But if you're a young guy. You have to sign with a promoter. You have to have your manager, you know, who knows what he's doing, and then and get you the shot, get your foot in the door. You know?
How did you know being a boxing promoter was the move? That being a fighter wasn't enough?
That's what I know best, man. Boxing and selling. You know, making good fights. That's what it's all about. Look, for me, fighting is what I know best. I started when I was 4 years old. It got me my 10 world titles, gold medal, all that stuff. So it's my obligation, it's my job to keep the integrity of boxing alive, you know, and by making these types of fights, that's all you can do is make sure you put the best against the best. That's all I can do. I mean, I'm hoping this fight is such a great fight. I mean, that both guys drop each other, that both guys, you know, it's a close fight, you know, and we can make another one. Why not? That's what boxing needs right now.
But who made you want to be a promoter, though?
I was fighting this kid, Ike Corte. I think he was from Africa, from Ghana. And he was a tough son of a, I mean, this guy was tough. And he hit me with everything. He dropped me twice, and I think I dropped him 3 times. I needed the last round to win, and I finally won. But I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks afterwards, you know, because I was so sore and it was painful. And right there and then I said to myself, I need something to do after boxing. And so what can I do? I said, let me become a promoter and help these young guys out to establish their own careers.
How do we get people excited about boxing again? I mean, I remember as a kid, I used to love watching Mike Tyson. It was powerful.
Exactly.
And even with Floyd, you know, now with him retiring,
Right.
How do we get people back into boxing?
Just make the best fights happen, man. That's it. I mean, this fight here with Canelo Triple G, and Daniel Jacobs in the mix as well as a middleweight. Then you have other middleweights that are up and coming. If we can have a round robin of all these guys fight each other, you know, and create some good fights, you know, you can start something. But you know, in boxing, for instance, before myself, it was Mike Tyson.
Right.
Before Mike Tyson, it was Muhammad Ali. After me, it was Floyd, and then you had Pacquiao. So it's like a roller coaster in boxing. You only have like one guy or two guys at the most carrying the sport of boxing. So right now, we're in a transition stage.
Some great guys out there, though.
There's some
Canelo.
There's some awesome guys out there, but they just have to fight each other. Crawford's another one.
Yeah.
Crawford's another one. I mean, look, hey, I'm all for promoting the best out there, man. And I really do think Crawford's one of the best out there.
And we had Spence up here recently too.
Yeah. Do you?
Oh, Spence. Yeah. And look, I'm always reaching out to Spence, and because he has no promoter. I would love to promote Spence. I mean, I think he's the real deal. I think he can be the guy who creates some noise in the sport.
How important is trash talk too? Because he's like such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. You got to trash talk a bit. I mean, look, that's why Mayweather and McGregor sold so many. It got the interest of the whole world because both are trash talkers.
Right.
You know,
Right.
both know how to sell an event. You know. And you know, I mean, they know how to do it, and you know, it's like, but for me, as a purist of the game, I just want to see a great fight. That's it.
They got on McGregor about his racial slurs. Did you take stuff like that personal when Floyd put on the sombrero and?
I didn't take it
colors?
personal. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't because I knew what Floyd was already doing. So I tried not to fall into that trap, because that's what Floyd does. I mean, he's the best at beating you before you even step inside the ring. It's kind of like Tyson. Tyson just looks at you and you're freaking scared, and you don't even want to throw a punch in the ring.
Does that undefeated thing hurt as well? Because Floyd was undefeated and Tyson was undefeated for so long. Now it seems like everybody wants to see undefeated now.
I'm not for it when you don't challenge the very best. Because if you're gonna challenge the very best, you eventually have to lose. You eventually have to lose. If you're challenging the very best at the right time, you eventually have to lose. It happened to Tyson. Who did he lose to? He lost against.
We didn't expect him to lose to Buster Douglas.
Well, we didn't. Yeah, I mean, he was with 9 women over there in Japan, and messing
And
around
Bobby
and stuff.
Brown doing coke. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that when you fight the very best, it's like this fight here with Triple G and Canelo. I mean, obviously somebody's gonna lose. Somebody's gonna get knocked out. It might be Triple G, and he's undefeated. Because finally he's stepping up to fight the very best.
But it took a long time to make that fight happen. A lot of people say it was your fault, so you was holding Canelo back.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, Canelo wasn't a middleweight. He wasn't a middleweight. He was fighting at welterweight. He was fighting at junior middleweight. He's finally a middleweight right now. So I mean, it's just because a few people are gonna tell me, look, why don't you face Triple G when Canelo's a welterweight? I'm not gonna do that. I have to wait for Canelo to fill in and be strong, and then he can fight the very best at the middleweight division. So,
now, what was up with those pictures of you in the lingerie and fishnets back in the day? We see those pop up all the time. And what the hell were you doing?
Just a bad time in my life. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that happened 10 years ago. And they're still popping up, but that's the power of the social media. So. Right? Exactly. Yeah. So.
Was it hard for them to take you serious as a boxing promoter with stuff like that?
Oh no. We're the best promoter in the world today. Yeah. I mean, so it has nothing to do with it. It just has something to do with with my personal life at that time, which was 10 years ago. Which was so obviously we've. In America, you have the opportunity to rise and shine and get better and be better, and so that's exactly what I've done.
Now, question with promoters, when you get a fighter, how do you pick who he's matching up against, who he's fighting? Because you could be in the same weight class, but you can know that this guy's gonna kick my boxer's ass. So do you look for fights that give your boxer some confidence to be like, let him whip this guy's ass?
Do you pick your fighters the way Floyd picks his fighters? Is what he's asking.
I wasn't gonna say it like that.
I mean, I would have. I had the chance not to face Triple G with Canelo. I mean, I could have. Canelo's 27 years old, and they say you can milk him for as long as you want and make money. What for? I mean, what for? I mean, that's exactly why boxing is going downhill. In the past is because fighters just don't want to fight each other. They want to keep that undefeated record. I mean, there's tons of fighters out there who are undefeated. And who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody knows. So that's exactly why we made Triple G versus Canelo. I mean, because somebody has to lose. If it's Canelo, so be it. He lost against the best. If it's Triple G, so be it.
And then you do another one. If it's not a bloodbath, if it's not a real bad beatdown, you know what I mean?
If it's not a real bad beatdown where it's like only 2 rounds and Canelo, wipes his face on the mat. Then you can't do a rematch or vice versa. But if it's a great fight, like I think it is gonna be, why not do another one?
Do you hate Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
No, not at all. I don't. I respect him as an athlete. I respect him as an athlete. I respect him as a fighter. I think he's, like I said, one of the best that's laced up the gloves. In the history of the sport, I just don't like his what he's done in his personal life. That's it.
Now, as a
what do you mean by that?
What
do you mean?
Yeah, just I mean, we all know his past.
Like the domestic violence. And stuff?
I don't like that stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. I mean, who would?
But he probably could say the same thing about you. You had bouts with drug addiction and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, but
everybody got demons.
But I would never hit women.
Okay, true.
Now, as a former boxer, how important is it to you to talk to these boxers who you promote about just finances and physical and mental well-being?
That's the beauty. And by the way, I would never attack anybody personally. I would never do it. I mean, I would never ever do it. That's just my personal thing. I mean, I'm an athlete. You have to be responsible to your sport. And look, whoever attacks me personally, I mean, so be it. I mean, it is what it is. What happened. But I mean, going back to your question, I think that by my example, the way I'm living now, the way I've lived, the way I'm living now, it's like, I mean, it's progression, and you have to take a look at, for instance, like guys like Mike Tyson. You take a look at Mike Tyson right now, the way he lived and the way he's living now. I mean, it's night and day. Mike Tyson is like a freaking teddy bear now. Yeah. I love the guy, man. He's I mean, this guy was a beast back in the day. Yeah, he's scary. Yeah, he is. But he's the nicest guy ever now. He's like now a positive influence. He's doing movies and doing this and that, and
his play.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Yeah, he had demons. I think we all do. But if you can move on and grow and become a better person from it, and then at least you're doing something right.
But boxing is interesting though, because even with guys like Tyson, guys like Mayweather, it's a violent sport.
Yeah, so that's a tough sport.
So if it carries on outside of the ring, can you really hold them so much accountable when they're like trained to be just these violent individuals all the time?
Well, I mean, it is a violent sport, but I mean, I'm sorry, because look, I'm a huge advocate of violence against women. Mm-hmm. So it's I mean, it even irks me about even talking about it. I mean, it's a no in my game.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people talk about I'm going to talk about Floyd again, his fighting style, and say he's not aggressive enough. And my thing has always been, isn't boxing not to get hit and get hit? Like, people want to see more aggression.
I think boxing is about fighting the very best at the right time. I think boxing is fighting the best against the best. That's the bottom line. Look, Floyd he's a master boxer. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But boxing is fighting the best against the best. And I mean, can you give me a fight? A Floyd fight where the odds were even.
What about when he fought?
I mean, I was over the hill when he fought me.
Yeah, you was older then. Canelo was too young.
Give me a fight where the odds were even when Floyd fought.
Who would you like to see him fight? That you didn't.
He's retired. He's retired. Well, Pacquiao when he was in his prime.
But Pacquiao was allegedly on dope then, so he was doped up. So
apparently,
Floyd was kind of smart to stay away from that at the time.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. So, but it's like this Canelo Triple G fight. It's actually Triple G's a favorite, and it's an even fight. So, I mean, these are the types of fights that boxing needs. These are the types of fights that build your legacy as a fighter. And so, my question has always been, I mean, when have you talked about a fight that is an even fight with Floyd?
I'm not the biggest Floyd fan, outside of the ring either, but I think he ran through the whole Golden Boy roster. I mean, he fought everybody. Like, he fought to his competition. It's not his fault that there was nobody as good as him out there.
It's not his fault, and I have part blame, in that, because I was his promoter for 10 fights. And everybody who fought, I mean, the odds were like 10-1 or 15-1. I mean, what do you expect? Mm-hmm. I just think that boxing needs to come back in a big way, and I think September 16th will be the beginning of a new wave of fighters. I mean, Errol Spence is another one. Like I said, I mean, Errol Spence is in that wave. I mean, he can be a big force in boxing.
I love Errol Spence.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy, a good fighter. But he needs a promoter like me.
How do you feel about our current celebrity in chief, Donald Trump?
I didn't even vote for him. I mean, I have no opinion about him. I mean, what he's doing, is just, it's terrible. He's dividing families.
Yeah,
it's freaking dividing families, man. I mean, that's, I literally wish if I were to make a comeback, I would call him out. I would call him out and knock his ass out. Yeah.
Yo, you would get pulled up all the time. You go through that point now. What do you think about Adrian Broner as a fighter?
Great fighter. As a fighter, he's a great fighter.
When he's focused.
He's a great fighter. I promoted him right from the start. I promoted him right from the start. I promoted all those guys, Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia and all these guys. They're great fighters. It's just that I just don't know what's going on, man. These guys think they have to go out there and
Rock stars.
yeah, you can't be a rock star if you can't fill up an arena.
Right.
You got to go out there and prove yourself first.
Yeah, I think people forget, especially this generation, they forget that Money Mayweather became Money Mayweather after he put in a certain amount of work.
A lot of work. I mean, he kept fighting. He kept winning world titles. And you got to remember, Floyd Mayweather, before he fought me, he was called Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather. Then after he beat me, he becomes Money Mayweather. So, I mean. But he put in a lot of work, a lot of years of hard work, and so it doesn't happen overnight. But these young guys, they think it's gonna just I win one fight at the Garden, and and then I'm a superstar. It's not like that.
Now you're good friends with Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
Now his last fight, why didn't you say, Bernard, look, enough's enough. Let's stop.
You can't say that to Bernard, man. No, you can't say that to Bernard. He knows what he's doing. Look, the reason why he lasted till he was 51, and he went through everybody,
Sure did.
in their prime, went through everybody, and because he took care of himself. He's that's a rock star right there. Let me tell you. I mean, Bernard, he's gonna go down as one of the legendary fighters of our time.
Now, where would you rank Mayweather? Speaking of legendary
I would
fighters of all time.
I would say top 10 of all time.
But who are your
Yeah.
top 5 fighters of all time?
My top guy is Sugar Ray Robinson. Yeah. And then I gotta put my man Sugar Ray Leonard up there, and I mean there's guys that people haven't even heard of. Like, I mean, obviously Muhammad Ali. There's Louis Armstrong. There's obviously Julio Cesar Chavez, and there's Pernell Whitaker. Guys like that. I mean, I do think when all said and done, Mayweather will be up there in the top 10. I really do think so.
Is there any benefit to cross promotions, like how we saw with McGregor and Mayweather? Because back in the day, Ali did something like that with a MMA fighter, I think, or something, right?
Yeah, he did. He did do something like that, and I mean, it was obviously a big show, a big spectacle. But that's the new thing now, I guess. That's the new thing now. But that's exactly what can hurt boxing. I think, in my eyes, as long as if it can be a great fight. I mean, if McGregor was a legitimate boxer for a while, let's say, I mean, for crying out loud, he fought Mayweather and he was 0-0. He had no experience in boxing. He was Mayweather was fighting a guy who was 0-0 in boxing. I mean, McGregor's the best guy in the MMA, in the UFC. He's the best fighter out there, hands down, and I respect him. But you can't just come into boxing and then challenge the best guy in Mayweather, and you think you're gonna beat him because you're trash talking. It just doesn't happen that way.
So
Did he
maybe
do a
if
better
he would have
job?
challenged somebody that wasn't Floyd.
Oh yeah. He got. I would give McGregor. I would give McGregor the win in trash talking. Yeah, against Floyd.
You think he did a better job in the fight than you thought he would do?
Than expected.
I thought Mayweather let him. Yeah, I thought Mayweather let him do good in the fight because Mayweather controlled it. I mean, he could have knocked him out in 2, 3, 4 rounds if he wanted to. But you saw the way Mayweather, the way he was carrying him. You saw the way he was letting him get tired, and when he opened up, he knocked him out.
Now, if Conor McGregor came to you and said, "Hey, I want you to promote a fight. I want to keep on boxing," would you be down for that?
No.
Even if it was somebody that wasn't of that stature, maybe.
No, I wouldn't do it. Not if he didn't have a chance. No. I just.
You're a purist.
I'm just a purist, man. I love boxing. I love my sport, man. I mean, boxing is the sport that I respect so much. And don't get me wrong, I respect the MMA. I respect the UFC. It's just that, I mean, it's just two different sports. I mean, you have a ball in basketball, you have a ball in football. It's two different sports. You can't have Peyton Manning go out there and try to ball with Dwayne Wade. It's just not gonna happen.
All right. So, what's your prediction for the fight?
I'm just gonna go with I really don't know.
What round you think?
I'm gonna go like 8 rounds, 8, 9 rounds, but it's gonna be hell for both guys.
Now,
Yeah.
I love to ask parents this. If you have a son,
I have 6 kids.
Yeah. Okay. Would you want your son to box?
I got one boy that's fighting. Yeah,
Are you cool
and
with
I
that?
actually
'Cause-
encourage him. Yeah.
Really? Because you had to have bruises and effed up.
Yeah,
so
you know
many
what? You know
different
what
times.
boxing does to you? It teaches you discipline. It teaches you like hard work and you know, and sacrifice and all that. You know, because us fighters, we come from tough backgrounds. You know, we come from tough neighborhoods. We come from you know we need that structure in our life, you know, and that's what boxing does for us. I mean, it teaches you hard work, and it teaches you discipline.
But your kids don't come from a tough background.
No, exactly. That's why I'm a little hesitant, but there's my boy Devin who is 18 now. He has one fight as an amateur, but he's got the skill.
Right.
He's got the talent, and he can fight. Sometimes I ask myself, like, I mean, you have everything. You didn't grow up like I did, you know. I mean, do you have that mean streak in you? Do you have that anger in you? You know, because you have to have a little bit of anger in you,
Right.
you know, becoming a fighter. So sometimes I worry about him, but look, hey, you gotta learn up there. You get punched in the nose. I mean, you're either gonna run away from it or you're gonna face it. So. I'm going to support him 100%. Yeah.
We talk about the aggression that boxers have. Did you have to undergo like therapy and things like that just to keep your mental?
Boxing was my therapy.
That was your only therapy?
But
not
boxing
outside of
was
that?
boxing was my therapy. I mean, I was, you know, it's like you don't grow up in the best of environments, and so my letting out frustrations were in the ring. You know, fighting guys, knocking guys out. Going to the gym, you know, sparring and, you know, beating guys up. I mean, that was my therapy.
So what led to the coke and booze then?
I don't know, just a bad time in my life, you know? Yeah, bad time in my life, man. I mean, it was one of those times where it's like, you know, you sometimes lose your identity when you retire. You know, you hear about all these athletes and actors and this and that, and they lose themselves and this and that. So
Because you've been doing that since you were 4.
and exactly. And then what do I do now? Like, who am I now? You know, so I was in a bad place, a really bad place. You know, but I'm actually glad that I was able to bring myself back to the light. You know, because think about it. There's a lot of people who just cannot come back to the light.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
there's tons of them, and there's a lot of sad cases that take place, and I mean, you hear about it every single day. You know, I mean, famous people and just average Joes in the street. You know, it's sad. It's heartbreaking. It's tough to be out there and be a celebrity and be a famous person, whatever, or with money or this and that. And it's tough when you lose your identity. And how do you bring it back? How do you gather yourself back and correct yourself and go down that path, that correct path once again? That was the toughest fight of my life, let me tell you. To come back,
drugs and alcohol?
man, that was the toughest fight of my life. I really I felt like if I was being knocked down every single time in every single round, you know. And but hey, I thank God, man. I made it.
And you became a huge promoter, which is kind of a big deal, because a lot of times when people have that kind of past, they're like, okay, we'll let them get good, but we're not gonna let them get to the top of any other game.
No, exactly. I mean, you can easily go down and spiral just as quick as you went up. I mean, fast, just like that. And so I was able to pick myself up, and obviously, you know, now we have the biggest promotional company in the world today with boxing, and you know, and I do all sorts of other businesses. You know, I mean, that people don't even know of. I mean, you know, so it's I've been blessed, man. I've been very blessed.
You're right, because I think in boxing in particular, you see so many tragic stories of people that once they stop boxing, and their life just goes like spirals.
Anybody in general who's a public figure. I mean, it can be an entertainer, it can be a football player, a basketball player, anybody. It's just if you do not take if you take that wrong path, slightly just take that wrong path, I mean, it can suck you in, and luckily I was able to come out of it.
I feel like you and Mike Tyson have had some great conversations.
You know what? I mean, that's my boy, Mike Tyson, man. That's my boy, and the
He's been through
conversations,
similar stuff.
the conversations that we've had, man, have been so positive, man. Have been just inspiring now, because the story that we can tell now is inspirational, because now you have all these young kids, man, that are just. They're losing themselves. They're losing themselves. That's the bottom line, And they're not even famous or have money or this and that, or they're just losing themselves, because they're watching people on TV or this and that. And so now we can. Now I strongly believe that boxing, for me, was just a vehicle to do bigger and better things, and that's to inspire. I think through my story, through what I lived, what I survived, because I did survive, I think I can influence. If I can influence a few kids out there, then I've done my job.
I would love to see that Oscar De La Hoya story.
Oh yeah, and it'll be raw. Let me tell you,
Is that
it'll be raw. It's
You gotta have the laundry.
Oh yeah,
pictures.
No, you gotta have everything in there.
You gotta put everything in there.
Whose lingerie was that?
I have no clue.
Why you want to know?
I have no clue. Yeah, exactly. What's up? What's up, my man? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this size.
God damn.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us. Did you sign your son yet? Is he signed to you yet?
No, not yet.
if he
Not
doesn't
yet.
want to sign to you?
What do
Oh
you
yeah,
sign
I don't
to?
want to go down King, man, or
You better sign
Mayweather.
Mayweather
Hey,
now.
God damn it, hey, you better stick to family here, brother.
You think Mayweather's a good promoter?
Yeah, I like him, man. I like what he's doing.
Yeah,
It's good for the sport, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's good for the sport. Everything he's doing, I love it, man. I love it. I mean, the only criticism I've had is the opponents, and that's it. I mean, who he's fought. That's it.
All right.
But those are your guys.
My guys,
So you kinda
yeah.
criticize
So I
your
know
own
them.
guys.
So I know them. Exactly.
Last question. What's the craziest thing you bought with all the money that you made? The dumbest thing you purchased?
The dumbest thing I purchased, Jesus.
That many?
Yeah, there were a few, man. Back in the day, god damn, there were a few. But I didn't go too crazy with my money. I didn't go too crazy
You
with
must
it.
have had some good financial advisors around you.
I was pretty frugal at the time. Yeah.
No jets, no car, nothing crazy.
No. I mean, there were times where I almost did, but I never pulled the trigger, man. I mean, I have a crazy house, but that's where I live, But that's about it. I wasn't too crazy. I mean, wasn't that bad.
Do you have any family members that are going to be affected by the Trump rescinding DACA?
A few. Yeah, a few, man. So yeah, we're obviously definitely against it. I mean, it's like I said, they're dividing families, and I've talked to a few family members, and it's devastating. It's devastating. So yeah, we must do something. We gotta stay strong, man, and stay united. That's the bottom line.
All right, the big fight is happening on the 16th.
Yeah,
Triple G versus Canelo Alvarez. You're saying 8th or 9th round, but it's going to be tough.
it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a knockout.
I'm paying for that one. I didn't pay for the McGregor Mayweather. I refuse to. But I'm definitely paying for Canelo Triple G.
Well,
There
we
you go,
appreciate you
my
for
man.
joining us.
All
It's
right.
Oscar De La Hoya. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.